Want to know why? Ask how. Howard? The humongous. It all started at 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, March 18th. Israel broke the ceasefire. Warplanes filled the sky of Gaza. Bombs were dropped. 35 airstrikes were made. Hamas claimed that over 400 people were killed, most of them women and children. But remember, Hamas makes heavy use of lying in war. It's called taqiyya, a form of lying that Muhammad himself recommended. So you can't trust Hamas death counts. Wrote Dalia Abu Ramadan, a reporter in Gaza for the left-wing publication Truth Out. I was jolted awake at 2 a.m. this morning by the deafening sound of explosions and relentless bombardment here in the Rimal neighborhood in Gaza, where I live. The noise was so overwhelming I couldn't tell where it was coming from. During the ceasefire, we still struggled to eat, to keep breathing, to find shelter. At least we could rest for a moment, believing we might wake up alive, not to the sound of missiles and blasts. But then something changed. What happened? The mainstream media won't answer Dalia's question. It is too busy printing Hamas propaganda. But there is an answer. The October 7th, 2023 torture, rape, and murder of 1,200 Israelis and their babies produced a PR bonanza for Hamas. The war with Israel that the October 7th massacre kicked off allowed Hamas to turn the world against Israel and toward the Palestinians by using civilians as human shields. Palestinians whose one shared goal is genocide, death to Israel, and death to Jews worldwide. After a 2-month ceasefire, the United States negotiator Steve Witkoff made two proposals to continue the ceasefire until the end of Passover and Ramadan. Hamas refused them both. Meanwhile, Hamas was bulking up its military for more October 7th style assaults. The so-called Day of Glory of October 7th and the fact that Gaza was under attack brought in between 15 and 20,000 recruits from all over the 57-nation Muslim world. They called themselves Knights of Islam. The number of fighters in Hamas was back up from a skeletal 13,000 to a muscular and threatening 25,000. And the number of fighters in Islamic Jihad, another terror group supported by Iran, was up to a beefy 5,000. According to Arab sources, Hamas spent the 2 months of the ceasefire digging more military tunnels under civilian apartment buildings, mosques, and schools to add to its 450-mile-long underground network and consolidating its weapons caches. What's worse, Israeli intelligence indicated that these groups were preparing to launch another October 7th style slaughter, or more than one. That's what triggered the bombing campaign against Gaza at 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning, March 18th. And that's what triggered the ground invasion of Gaza by Israeli troops Wednesday, March 19th. That's what triggered this ground invasion's goals, expanding the security zone and weakening Hamas by cutting the southern population of Gaza off from the north. The threat of another Hamas slaughter also triggered the Israeli Navy on Tuesday to attack vessels off the coast of Gaza that were being used to smuggle weapons and to launch small boats with terrorists to the coast of Israel. Meanwhile, Israel's Tuesday morning airstrikes were not targeted at civilians. They were targeted at the Hamas commandos who used those civilians as human shields. The attacks killed Essam al-Da'alis, head of Hamas government, Ra'id Ragban, a senior commander in Hamas Rafah Brigade, Jamal al-Wadiya, battalion commander of the Hamas Sajel Brigade, Yasser Mohammed Harb Musa, a Hamas security chief, Mohammed al-Jamasi, head of the Hamas Emergency Committee, Mahmoud Abu Watfa, Director General of Hamas Interior Ministry, Bajat Abu Sultan, Operational Chief of Hamas Internal Security, and Hamas Justice Minister Ahmed Omar al-Hatta. That's 9 members of a group whose primary goal is to kill Israelis. Meanwhile, the anti-Israeli Secretary of the UN tweeted, "I am outraged by the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza." A spokesman for the Israeli foreign minister tweeted back, "We are outraged that you, Antonio Guterres are the Secretary General of the UN. Not a word about the fact that Hamas rejected two American proposals to extend the ceasefire and release more hostages, two proposals that Israel accepted. Not a word about the fact that Hamas exploits the transfer of humanitarian goods to Gaza to rebuild its war machine in order to further attack Israel. Not a word about UNRWA, which under your leadership employs Hamas terrorists and its facilities were used by Hamas to hold hostages. Indeed, we are outraged by your moral bankruptcy. And Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, in a message to Gaza's civilians, gave a conclusive message. Take the advice of the President of the United States. Release the hostages and eliminate Hamas. Doing so will open other possibilities for you, including the option of emigration for those who wish it. The alternative is total destruction. Dalia Abu Ramadan asks why Israel broke the ceasefire. The simple answer is self-defense. This is Howard Bloom, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now to find this new approach to an off button. There, I think I found it.